So today's class will be focused on aggregate functions in SQL. So we'll be covering both the basic and the advanced level. And additionally, I'll also be exploring group by clause and having clause for those who haven't really understood how to use it properly. Okay, so an aggregate function is just a database operation that processes value from multiple rows. Okay, so it performs a mathematical or statistical calculation and returns a single summarized result. Okay, so I'll be writing some aggregate functions here so you would understand how it's done. So this is the database we'll be working with. This is the database we'll be working with right here. Alright, so I'll be sending this database to you, or you can just create it. It's not really that hard to create. We all know how to create a database, so you can just go ahead and create it by looking at these figures, right? So it's not really that difficult, but I'll also send it to you just in case you need it. Okay, so in order to use an aggregate function here, we can say select. So the first aggregate function we'll be using is count. Now we'll be looking into about 5 different aggregate functions. Alright, so the first one we'll be looking at is count. Okay, we say count from land area. Okay, so this count here basically counts and returns number of rows in a particular table based on the filter we use. So if we run this code now, it will count. Hold on, let me. Okay. All right. So this basically counts the number of rows we have in this table. So as you can see right here, we have just 12 rows in this table. So let's say we want to check the items. We want to count the number of purchases, like the number of people that ordered a laptop. Okay, let's say we want to count the number of people that ordered a laptop. From here we can say select count all from landmark.land area where okay, item equals laptop. So it will calculate this and tell us the number of purchases we have for laptop. Okay, so let's run the code. As you can see right here, we have 2. So let me run the whole let me just run the whole, let me show the whole SQL database and the whole table so you can see everything in the table. So as you can see right here, we have items right here, we have gender, we have first name, last name, first name, we have country, we have state, we have price, we have Africa. This indicates if they are Africa or not Africa. We have purchase, that's the number of purchase they made for a particular item. We have the item they actually purchased. We have the gender, if the person making the purchase is a male or female, and then we have the email, the phone number, the age, and the department, okay, where they work, the department they actually work. So I added up all these details, just to use it for this demonstration. So let me go back to what I did again so you understand what it actually means, because looking at this place right now, you would notice that we have 12 persons in this database, right? And we have the order for laptop is just 2. We have it right here, and we have laptop right here. So this is the only order we have for laptop. So in order to fetch this thing, in order to fetch this information, we can say select count all from an area where item equals laptop. Okay, now let's run it and see. It will show us 2. okay, showing that we have only 2 orders for laptop. Okay, so we can do this for price, we can do this for every other thing in the table right there. Okay, so that is it for count. And the next one we'll be looking at average. Okay, we'll be looking at average, or let's take a look at sum. Let's take a look at sum before we take a look at average. We can say sum price where item is equals to laptop. So it should tell us that it should sum the whole price where item is equals to laptop. That means it should sum the price between the 2 laptop purchases. Okay, so let's run the code and see. So we have 1050, that's 1050, and let's do it manually and see if this is correct or not. Let's do it manually by just just viewing the whole database. So as you can see here, we have our laptop right here, and this is the price. The first price is 500 and the second price is 550, making it 1050. So it's actually correct. So that's how to use the count aggregate function and the sum aggregate function. So the next function we are going to be looking at is the average. Okay, so this right here, AVG, is the average. It shows the average price between the 2 items. Since we are using the where clause here, so it's showing the average price between the 2 purchases, because we have 2 purchases, right? So let's run the code, the query, and see. So as you can see, we have the average price here is 525.00. So that's the average price for this. Okay, so we can just go ahead, we can go on and say average price minus average, for some other stuff, depending on what we want to do with it. Okay, so these are the 3 aggregate functions, and the next aggregate function we'll be looking at is the minimum. We'll be looking at the minimum and the maximum. So these are the basic aggregate function. Okay, these ones are like they're simple ones that we need to understand before we move to the advanced aggregate function. So let me go to the minimum. The minimum is just you write min and then you run it. So the minimum is 500, and then the maximum, which is max, the maximum is 550. Okay, that's the maximum price where item is equals to laptop. Now you can change the where clause. You can use where item is equals to something else. You can use where price is, you can use where country. Okay, let's say, for instance, let's take where country is equals to Nigeria, for instance. Let's run the code. So as you can see, the max function, the max price for this one is 600. So let's just sum the whole thing and see the amount we're going to get. Okay, sorry. Alright, so that is it. So that's the sum of all the prices that has to do with Nigeria, people from Nigeria. Okay, so we can say let's count. So we can count all the items or all the purchases made from Nigeria, and then it gives us 2. So we only have 2 people from Nigeria that placed an order. So that's how to use aggregate function, the basic aggregate function. So now let's move to the advanced aggregate function.